Good evening, all. So next topic is then comes under the microservice architecture is an second unit. So under the second unit, the syllabus will be comes under the. We can kindly check the syllabus of the second unit. So second unit syllabus is an overview of inter-process communication, synchronous remote procedure invocation pattern, asynchronous messaging pattern, and asynchronous messaging to improve availability, transaction management in a microservice architecture, coordinating sagas, handling the lock isolation, order services, and unordered service sagas. First, coming to the first topic is an overview of inter-process communication. Inter-process communication refers to the mechanism that technique allows the different process or applications running on a computer exchange the data coordinating their activities. It's like an pipelining architecture. So here we are going to passing the information from one web page to another web page. How successfully the communication will be possible in between the web pages. So a microservice based application is a distributed system that works on multiple machines. Each service eventually usually will going to distributing the work. Here the work distribution will going to the happening whenever the process will going to start the execution. So see the approaches of the inter-process communication. We having a processor 1 and then processor 2. How successfully the processor 1 and then 2 will going to sharing the memory through a kernel. Okay, same the one more reason here. One of the message sharing will be comes under the shared memory, and one more processing will be comes under the message queue. And next coming to the next slide is an interaction of the styles in a microservice architecture. The interaction to be existing in the one is technique is an one-to-one interaction, one-to-many interaction, and synchronous and asynchronous interactions. One-to-one interaction will be comes under the single service model process each client request. One-to-many is an each request is processed by the multiple service conditions. Synchronous is when client is waiting for a timely response from the service and may be locked by while waiting. Asynchronous is when the client does not block while waiting for a response. The response is an not immediately sending in the asynchronous. Then coming to the some of the few steps we can discuss here by using the one-to-one interaction. So one-to-one interaction, one of the best example we can take as an request and response. Another one is an unsociated request and response. Request and response is when the client requests a service, waits for a response. The client executes the response to arrive on time. In a network-based application, the application still may be blocked while waiting. Unsociated responses is when the client sends a request to the service where which respond is accordingly. The client cannot block while waiting and designed to assume the response while immediately. The following steps for the one-to-many interaction. The before example for one-to-one and another example. Now we are going to discussing about the one-to-many. One is on publish and subscribe. One more is on publish inconsistent responses. Publish and subscribe. The client publishes a notification message used by zero or more exciting services, and next one is an publish inconsistent responses session. Client can publish the request message and wait for a certain amount of time to respond from interested services. And some of the few architecture here they can understand real time one of the application how successfully the client will going to do their work successfully completion. So the client want to do complete their work is that machine should be need and help for the server. The client generating the request, for example here example will be taken as an ticket booking will be taken. The ticket booking process, the first the request will be generated, and then the client whenever he will going to entering into the website, first of all the client need to get an authentication. The entire client is an authenticated or not. After getting the authentication by using their profile information or by using their some other biometric or whatever some process will be moving on here. After successfully the client will go into booking their what in what time he want to move the travel. So everything will be completing here by using the client request. We are completing the each module. And next, coming to the synchronous remote procedure invocation pattern. Services must handle a request from the application of the client. Furthermore, services must sometimes collaborate to handle those requests. They must be used the inter-process communication protocol. Synchronous communication results in a tight runtime coupling. Both the client and service may available in the duration of the request. Using the RPI for inter-service communication, the client uses a request or reply based protocol to make the request to a service. Example REST, gRPC, Apache Thread. These three techniques we are using by using the RPI technologies. Synchronous communication. In this kind of communication, a client can send a request containing data to a service. Service process the incoming request based on the defined business logic and send back the response to the client. Some clients may block waiting for the response, while some other may have non-blocking and reactive architecture. As said earlier, there are two synchronous mechanisms. One is an C client will going to communicating through a server by using the REST API we using, and then he will going to successfully sending back the request and response will be done by using the synchronous communication. So next, today it's a common to use the RESTful style for implementing the synchronous messaging system. The REST is an interprocess communication use the HTTP. The resource which represent a business object plays a key role in this mechanism. We can execute the different operating using the HTTP web. Post, get, and then put patch and delete. Post request to create the new resource. Get request to receive representation of a resource. Put or patch request to update an existing resource. Delete request to remove the existing resources. One of the challenges we will face while using the REST in the lack of HTTP verbs. Sometimes it is not straightforward to have a multiple update or create action on the same resource on the REST style. So we can use the gRPC instead of REST in these situations. So coming to the gRPC, it is first introduced by the Google in the year of the 2016. It is a modern cross-platform open source remote procedure call framework which helps to define your operations that can be called remotely along with their parameters. Return types in a specific message format which is protocol buffer. Protocol buffers are used to define the structure of messages. And then while using the synchronous communication in a microservice architecture based software, we have to consider the availability of the services. As we know, services in the microservice based system are collaborating with each other using the interprocess communication mechanism that we already discussed earlierly. Remote calls may fail due to the unavailability of the another independent service. The solution to all the problems related to unavailability of the system circuit breaker pattern. We are already discussed about the post discussed pattern. In this pattern, we each details implemented by using the Spring Boot.